Well, hello again to all my thousands and thousands of listeners out there in Radioland and especially on YouTube. This is the Midnight Skeptic, show number 53. It'll be shown on the 30th, the last Sunday of this month, 9 p.m. the usual time on 103.3 FM, KPCA LP. And I'm recording this on Wednesday. It is 3:40 and time for my play-in music. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not, repeat, not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Okay, here we go. There's a lot of things to get to on today's show. First of all, send all critiques of the show, complaints, encouragement, hints, things you would like to hear me rant about more on the Midnight Skeptic show. Send all of those things, including death threats and hate mail. Okay, I'll deal with them all. Hey, Nick. He's my renter of a bedroom upstairs. He's going up to, do whatever he does. Okay, this is about 3:40 on Wednesday. The what actually is today? The 26th. Okay, and the address where you send all this stuff to. The Midnight Skeptic at gmail.com. And I've got to say that the opinions, my opinions, of the Midnight Skeptic, while they are not necessarily the views of Petaluma Community Access or the radio station on which I'm recording on right now, KPCALP, and then all of its television stations that Petaluma Community Access uses to record planning commission meetings and health district meetings and city council meetings of all the little towns around our area in Sonoma County. Okay. Their opinions should be their opinions too. My opinions are, without doubt, the correct opinions to have. And I say that with all due modesty. Okay? And I know that the vast majority of my listeners are, you might say, on the political spectrum, rather leaning toward the left end of it. Amelia Beamer reminded me in an email last week that the origin of the right and left stems from the French Revolution. In 1789, the meeting of the Representative Assembly of people in France, in Paris specifically, they met in this great big hall, and the speaker of this assembly, as he was looking out, noticed that those representatives sitting to his left were revolutionaries of one stripe or another. They were all for change. They were anti-monarchists and wanted property redistribution, food for everybody. God, what a concept. And then those representatives sitting to his right as he was looking out at the assembly. The people on the right didn't want to get rid of the monarchy, and they were more traditionalists, or you might say conservatives. Okay, that's the origin of left and right wing. I consider myself quite lefty, and thank you for reminding me of that, Amelia from Florida. Okay, which brings me to my shout outs. Okay. The international people, I guess you know who you are by this time. The UK, Ireland, Germany, the Czech Republic, New Zealand, Australia, in all of those countries, I have a few followers that listen to me, I guess, occasionally on the on Anchor FM that collects all of these various outlets, including Spotify, which is the only one of them that I'm sort of familiar with. But anyway, they distribute it, and I have some international listeners. And okay, shout outs. On Long Island, Geraldine Goldfinger, and down in North Carolina, Herr Dr. David Rubin, and then the aforementioned Amelia Beamer in Edgewater, Florida, and then going across Florida to the Sarasota area, Nelson and Alice Slidell. Nelson was in my high school class, by far the smartest guy in our high school class. He became he signed up for the Public Health Service, which is a uniformed service of the federal government. You know, their uniforms are similar to Navy uniforms, but anyway, and then they're ranked, you know, ensign, lieutenant commander, admiral, so on and so on and so on. Anyway, he's retired from them, and his specialty, what he wrote a thesis on and a textbook on, were breathing apparatuses, and which is something we all need to know a lot about right now. Okay, and he recommends the N95 mask for everybody. Okay, enough of that. In Arkansas, Shannon Reed, who used to live here in Petaluma and was in the massage therapy industry. I think she worked at the Sonoma Mission Inn and Spa. Okay. And then, my brother Brandon and his wife Mina and Andrea and Tim, her husband, ex-Marine. Andrea, take care of yourself. And they're three little terrorists. Okay. And across from Arizona. I'm forgetting. Karina Hilliard, down in Patagonia, Arizona. She's their snake removal technician. I think the official title of hers is animal control technician. Anyway, she does that for a living, and she's also studying at, I believe, Arizona. Okay, I've got to wet my throat down already. Jeez, am I going to last this whole program? Okay. And across to L.A., Jackie and Wayne Kolar. I hope to see you guys sometime this summer. Dennis and Megan and I are going to try to make it down there. Coming up the coast to Pacifica, Stan and Kathy Gustafson. And even further north, Rich and Kathy Berger in Sebastopol. In Sacramento, Dave and Rosie Takach, and Mickey Huff, who is also living up there now and commutes down to Diablo Valley College, if they're still holding live classes. I'm really not sure, but anyway, I think it takes about 45 minutes to an hour for him to commute from where he lives in Sacramento down to Diablo Valley College in Pleasanton. Okay. And he's also the godfather of Project Censored, and they have their own show here on KPCALP 103.3 FM, and it's on Wednesdays 1 to 2 o'clock, and then it's repeated again over at 94.1 FM, KPFA in Berkeley, the Project Censored show. You ought to tune into that sometime soon if you haven't already. Okay, and let's see. The Sonora crowd, Bob and Sandy Fisher and Brad and Martha Fisher. Martha, take care of yourself. She's a nurse up there. And Darrell and Judy May and Leonidas Maciel, and then down to Mexico City, Rosie Lopez Negrete, ex-Sonoran. Okay, locally, Kevin and Lori up in Katati, and then Tim Munneke over in Fairfield. I guess Tim listens in now and then. He's a sixth grade teacher over in Fairfield School. I'm not sure which school it was, but anyway. And then here in Pacifica, Nariman Manucciori. I think that I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. We'll have to have a glass of red wine. We haven't done it yet in about 4 or 5 months, I guess. Okay, Yvonne Santos down in San Francisco. And then I mentioned Shannon Reed in Arkansas. Okay. All right, that's the shout outs. Okay, this is a good and kind of funny news in a way. Yakei, that's a Japanese name of a 9-year-old Japanese macaque monkey. She's living along with her troop of a couple of hundred other macaque monkeys. You might have seen them basking in a hot volcanic heated pool up in the northern part of Japan. They love to soak in it. They love to be hot tubs. Anyway, Yakei is a 9-year-old female, and she staged a coup by beating up the reigning alpha male macaque. In order to get to that point, she had to beat up her own mother, who was until she came along the alpha female. And then after she, convinced her mom that she was above her in the pecking order, she went over and started picking on the 4 top males in the troop. And like I say, there's 300 or 400 macaques in this troop, in this garden where they hang out, a fenced-in garden. And then the ultimate was she took on the alpha male of the troop and beat him up, I guess. So now the curators of this reserve for macaques and other plants and animals who study the macaques have noted that this is the first time ever that a female rose to the powerful position of alpha macaque. Okay, she has first call at mates. She eats when and where she wants, as much as she wants. So the glass ceiling has been broken. All right. Moving on. Republicans, and I always rant about the Republicans on the show of late. I'm not sorry about it. They deserve everything they get. We don't really have 2 political parties in this country. We have one political party, the Democratic Party, that is interested in ways of passing laws and helping the people of this country lead better lives through government policies. Well, the other people who call themselves Republicans, they're not a political party. They are a cult. And I've ruffled some feathers about saying that, but I stand by it. In the 2020 election, the Republican platform was non existent. There was nothing there except the desire to reinstate the orange sociopathic bloat bag. And that was all they really wanted to do, is just regain power. So they are a cult. We got one political party and one cult that are vying for power in this country. Okay, let's see. I'm riffing again. Okay, one of the ways that Republicans are planning on doing this in the 2022 elections or the 2024 elections is to get the orange sociopathic bloat bags acolytes, followers, and to be election officials. And the Republicans are purging all non-loyalists from the Republican cult and installing their own people. Well, most of these officials, they're elected positions, so it would behoove all of us who care about democracy to not let those Republicans get into low-level elected positions to where they can conduct the elections, or worse, count the votes. It's just, beware. The Midnight Skeptic has warned all of you out there. Okay. And here's a quote from the orange sociopathic bloat bag. I've been calling him that for a long time. I'm not going to slip up and use his actual name if I can help it. I might forget, but it's not that important. Okay, this is a quote, and it was said in Arizona at his rally. That was about a week ago, I think. Okay, quote, "We have to be a lot sharper the next time when it comes to counting the vote. Sometimes the vote counter is more important than the candidate. They have to get a lot tougher and smarter." Okay? And when he says we, that means his cult followers. Okay? Okay, I wrote some notes here. Okay, the rally was, when was it? January 15th of this month, 2022, this year. Okay, and another quote from him. Okay, "If you're white, you don't get the vaccine, or if you're white, you don't get therapeutics. In New York State, if you're white, you go to the back of the line if you want help." And then that got a resounding round of applause from his cult followers. It's just, I'm tempted to use the word unbelievable, but it's right there in front of your eyes on television. Unbelievable about how this political party at one time has devolved into just a cult of the orange sociopathic bloat bag. Okay. Florida's individual freedom, quote unquote, bill. Senate Bill 148 of this year, in parentheses, they put 2022, and House Bill 7, also 2022, a bill backed by Ron DeSantis, the Republican governor of Florida, that would prohibit Florida's public schools and private businesses from making people feel discomfort or guilt. Those are two words that are right from the bill. Discomfort or guilt based on their race, sex, or national origin. It was passed through the state Senate Education Committee, and the bill doesn't mention critical race theory. The term is used in the attached bill analysis given to all the senators. So they knew perfectly well that they're talking about CRT. But anyway, feeling discomfort and guilt. Well, there's a lot of things that can make people feel discomfort and guilt about. They shouldn't feel that way about just being male or being white or blah, blah, blah. Okay. And this isn't just happening in Florida. It's on its way to happening in all Republican-controlled states. You know, states that have a Republican governor and also majority state senate or state representative body. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about Spotsylvania. Okay, well, where is that? Okay, that is a county in Northern Virginia, almost in Maryland, and there were some Civil War battles fought around the Spotsylvania area. Anyway, it's a county now, and there's I think somewhere between 100 and 200,000 people, residents of Spotsylvania. Okay, another sip. Okay. Fearful Republicans, school board members in Spotsylvania school board advocate actual book burning. The criteria for pulling books from circulations in school libraries or public libraries is, quote unquote, sexually explicit. Two board members, school board members, Spotsylvania, Rabi Abuisamil. Okay, let me spell those for you. I think the guy is either Iranian or maybe Arab. I'm not sure. Okay, his first name, capital Rabih, and last name spelled capital Abuismail. Abuismail. I don't know. Okay, I never heard his name pronounced. And I went on some newscasts of their local news outlets when I was researching this story, and none of the anchors actually said his name. They just said a school board member who blah, blah, blah. Okay. Anyway, Rabi is from the District of Cortland. And then the second guy, Kirk Twigg, Twigg, he represents Livingston, would like to see the removed books burned. Damn. The banned books burned. All right. And what Abuismail said, I think we should throw these books on a fire. They want us to... okay, this I'm paraphrasing here because I didn't write down his exact quote. But I saw him say this on the YouTube of the school board meeting from Spotsylvania. He said, they are always these creeps. Okay, they would rather have us watch gay pornography than, okay, no, read about gay pornography rather than reading about Christ. Well, I guess this guy is a fundamentalist Christian. But anyway, and a direct quote is, I think we should throw those books on a fire. Okay, and then Twig says, I want to see the books before we burn them so we can identify with our community, identify within our community that we are eradicating this bad stuff. And that's his words. Okay. Parents of a Riverbend student brought concerns to the board meeting. Oh, God, concerns, parental concerns. That's always bad news. The mom said she was initially alarmed by LGBTQIA fiction made accessible to students by the library's app. She discovered after more research, oh God, parents doing research online, that's never a good thing. The book called, this is what she discovered, 33 Snowfish by Adam Rapp, R-A-P-P. Now, I've not read this book either, but it concerns 3 homeless teenagers. One of them is actually a preteen. I think he's 10 years old in the story. Trying to escape from horrible pasts that included sexual abuse, prostitution, and drug addiction. Well, of course the kids would want to escape that and then go out on their own. They steal a car from one of their sets of parents, and they have no particular goal in mind other than just getting away from their drug addicted parents. And like I say, I've not read the book, but and when they say prostitution, did their own parents or guardians set them up with this? I don't know. I haven't read the book, but Publishers Weekly describes it and the American Library Association as the best book for young adult readers in 2004. So this is 17 years ago that this was written, and they recommend it for kids over 15. Well, that's high school age. The three kids that this book is about understand hatred and violence better than love. Well, it's unfortunate, but there are situations in this country where kids are in real life exposed to this. So why not write about it? Why not write a good book about it so that kids who might read this find out that there are horrible circumstances that some teens are living in real life. Okay. Continuing on, Spotsylvania County, Virginia. Their Dr. Scott Baker, he resigned after 9 years as superintendent of Spotsylvania County Public Schools. He was a very highly regarded superintendent. He's a PhD. I'm not sure exactly where he got his PhD from, but anyway, he was forced to resign. And the word forced was never used by anybody, of course. 2 sets of parents complained about, quote unquote, sexually explicit materials in some of the books in some of the schools in that district library. And this was a November 10th of last year school board meeting. Deborah Caldwell Stone, she works in the Spotsylvania School District as a librarian. That's her whole career. She said, and she's a member of the American Library Association, quote, "We have such varied and diverse values," and she meant in this country, I think, but probably also in the state of Virginia, that we need books to reflect that diversity. And here's okay, let's see, the Kirk Twig quote. Okay, I would like to see these books before we burn them. Okay, the one set of parents, the Burris family, Burris, and Robert is the dad, and his wife. I mean, they were filmed, getting up in front of the Spotsylvania School Board meeting on November 16th. Excuse me, it was in the November 10th meeting. The superintendent at that meeting assured the parents that he would begin a review of every book that they have in their libraries. Okay, the November 16th meeting, 2021, Spotsylvania school officials drop the explicit sexuality book ban. Okay, they dropped it. Okay. January 22nd of 2022, that was yesterday, they had a new Spotsylvania school board meeting. Supposedly they meet once a month. In November, they squeezed in 2 meetings, one for parents' complaints, and then the other one to announce that they were dropping the ban. Okay, last night, and it should be on YouTube now because all of them have been, or at least the YouTube of the news broadcast announcing what they did at this meeting should be online. I'm going to look it up, and I'll get back to you guys next week on this. Okay, surprise, surprise. The majority of the school board members are conservative Republicans, and they elected this Kirk Twig as the new chair of the school board. His win gives conservatives a majority on the school board, and that's next school board. I'm eager to see if there's been any update on this book banning and book burning foo-faroo, and I'll find out about it. Okay. I'm telling you that the state of Virginia affords us all a preview of life in the coming Republican dystopia, unless a sufficient number of Democrats come out and vote out these Republican poll workers, not poll workers, but poll supervisors and vote counters. Governor Glenn Younkin, and this, I'm not kidding about this, Governor Glenn Younkin, the guy that just is the new governor of Virginia, and they're stuck with him for 4 more years. Anyway, he set up a quote-unquote tip line for parents to report teachers who teach CRT. Okay. and this is a quote from him, Governor Glenn Younkin. We have set up an email, and here's the email address, and it's all one word here: help education at governor.virginia.gov, G-O-V, for parents to send us any instances where they feel that their fundamental rights are being violated and their children are not respected. What does that mean? This is a continuation of what Younkin said. Quote, we're asking folks to send us reports and oh boy. Oh, my handwriting strikes again. Okay, let me start over. We're asking for folks to send us reports and observations they have that will help us be aware of things like privileged bingo. Now, what is that? Okay, I looked that up, and I could not find who invented this or what group invented it, but it's a left-wing thing meant for high school age kids. Okay, here's what happens when parents, especially right-wing MAGA heads, members of the cult, get to define what CRT is. Okay? A Virginia Beach mother, Annie Palumbo, Palumbo, says, I define CRT as basically judging somebody by the color of their skin, telling especially the white children that because they are white, comma, they should be ashamed. They should be responsible for any race issues in this country. That's what happens when you let parents meddle in things that they don't know anything about. The Midnight Skeptic, I guarantee that no teachers have said that because they're white, they should be ashamed. I would be willing to, bet $1,000 that no teacher has ever said that. I would say that even teachers, that tiny little percentage of them who may think that, would not have said that in class. Okay. The American Bar Association defines CRT as studying race and racism in society that emerged in the legal academy. What they mean by that is law school, and spread to other fields of scholarship. It critiques how the social construction of race and institutional racism in society perpetuate a racial caste system that relegates people of color to the bottom tiers. Okay. And about this privilege bingo, I saw online a privilege bingo card. Okay, it's kind of silly. And like I say, I was trying to find out, well, who made up this game or educational content. I couldn't find who made it up. I did, however, see a privilege bingo card. And the squares were things like white, Christian, heterosexual, are not afraid of policemen. What's another one? Your complaints are answered promptly in retail establishments. Um, Lyft and Uber will stop and pick you up. Okay, things like that. I I don't know how the game progresses. I think the teacher who decided to do this, and she's an English teacher, by the way, in Virginia Beach, a Virginia Beach high school. I don't know whether the high school there is called Virginia Beach High School or not, but it was a junior uh, level English teacher that decided to play this privilege game. And I guess she randomly picks out uh, privilege cards and then reads it out like white. Okay, well, people that are white, put a bean or whatever on that square until who's the first one that has a line or a vertical line or a diagonal line. But anyway, I will continue my efforts to find out who or what organization came up with this privilege bingo. I think I kind of disagree with using things like this, even if their intent is good. There is racism in this country, and there's no getting away from it. And do I, as a white guy, a cisgender, heterosexual, Caucasian male, feel guilt about what my ancestors did? No, I don't feel guilt about it, and I don't feel responsible about it. And I realize that, if I'm pulled over by a policeman, and it's been about 10 years since I've been pulled over for a speeding ticket or not wearing my seatbelt. That was the last one. I realized that, I don't have any fear about a policeman creeping up with his hand on his holster. Yeah. Okay, I realize that I have privilege, and I don't feel guilty about it. I will always work to level the playing field of everybody in this country. Okay, I'm going to devote a show in the near future about my own relatives, distant relatives, not the current relatives. They're, like I've said before on other shows, I have a few relatives that are Republicans, and I have a few friends that are Republicans, and they're smart, they're compassionate, they're kind. So, which perplexes me as to, well, why are they Republicans? Okay, enough of that. I don't want to get off on a rant, but okay, there's another thing that's making its rounds. It's the concept of white fragility or white defensiveness. And it's a term to describe defensive responses by white people, yeah, that's me, to discussions of societal discrimination, structural racism, and white privilege. I'm more than happy to have that discussion. I don't disagree that I have white privilege, and I don't disagree that there's structural racism, the remnants of it in our society today. But I'm willing to sit down and have a rational discussion with anybody about that topic. Okay, and I'm not going to feel guilty, and you're not going to throw me on the defensive. The Midnight Skeptic does not do defensiveness. Okay. The term has been applied to characterize the responses of white people to portrayals of the Atlantic slave trade and European colonization of Africa. Now, I was a history major, and I've got my master's in history, and my master's thesis was the history of the American teenager. And there was, well, I did this almost 20 years ago, and, things have changed. We didn't have smartphones back in then. We had these little flip phones that, you folded them and you put them in your pocket. Things have changed, especially for the younger generation then. Speaking of the Atlantic slave trade and, what I think about it, excuse me for 1 minute. I just happened to remember something that I have. Okay, I just remembered that I have a copy of Hugh Thomas's book called The Slave Trade, and I held it up for the YouTube people, and I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but one of the most disturbing pictures was this. Picture of a schematic, and I don't know who did this, but it was a schematic of a way to cram as many Africans into the hold of a slave ship. And it's horrible, but and I've read about 3/4 of it now. I didn't stop reading it because of any disturbance on my part. It was, I guess, I read a lot of things and then I get about halfway through them. And if something else comes along, then I set it aside, meaning to come back to it. And I rarely ever do. That's one of them that I really would like to finish one of these days. But do I feel any personal guilt about what, the Portuguese and Spanish and Dutch and English and American slavers did? It was horrible, absolutely horrible, but I didn't do it. And the fact that I have some privilege that has accrued down to me and my generation and my younger progeny, I don't feel guilt about that. I acknowledge it, and I will do everything that I can to bring it to an end, which one big thing would be to vote against all Republican political candidates. That's one way that I think we can help put an end to structural racism in this country. Okay, good news, good news, good news. A huge portion of the California redwood forest in Mendocino County has been returned to indigenous tribes. And let's see. This is what I was going to read if I finished the other things that I was ranting about. And the end of the show is not here yet. Let me take a quick time check. Okay, it's 50 minutes worth of ranting so far. Deep in the mountains of Mendocino County, nearly 200 acres of old-growth redwoods, chronically threatened by logging, have long stood on a plot known as the Andersonia West, well beyond the reach and awareness of most Californians. I mean, there's not even any roads back in there except for ill-used logging roads that have kind of been grown over since they were first put in there. Okay, now, like I say, these are old growth. They've not been able to be touched by greedy, avaricious logging companies. I should say greedy, avaricious, capitalistic logging companies, extractive industries. Okay, where did I go off track here? Known as Andersonia West, well beyond the reach and awareness of most Californians, at least since Native Americans lived there. Today, in a story that goes full circle, this ancient grove of trees has garnered permanent protection, and the land is back in the hands of those who call it home. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole article, but I want to try to attempt saying the name of the tribe. I mean, damn. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, okay. In addition to that, okay, there's a map of Mendocino County and this new acreage that's being returned to the indigenous tribes. Okay, the 523-acre property formerly known as Andersonia West will be called, oh God, the capital TC apostrophe IH hyphen LEH hyphen DUN. Okay, Tichledon, meaning fish run place, in the Sinkyone language, capital SINKYONE. There were so many small, I don't want to use the word insignificant, but just small tribes here in California in the pre-Columbian era. Pre-Columbian means before Columbus arrived in 1492. Going way, way back in my college career, I took a course in, one was the study of Indians, anthropology. Okay, let me back up. I was a social sciences major at Stanislaus State, and in order to major in that, you have to pick out three fields of study within social sciences. My three were history. At that time, I thought I was going to be a history teacher. My second one was psychology, and which later on I utilized more as a faux therapist, FAUX. And then the third one was anthropology. Well, I had to take 8 units, 2 4-unit classes to satisfy that. Well, I was kind of interested in Native American studies, and class number 1 was Indians of the Americas, North and South. Course number 2 was Indians of California, and they called them Indians at that time. I'm kind of aging myself. Now they would not say that. They would use a term like indigenous. Even in some circles, even indigenous is not a correct term anymore. So I don't know. Okay. Uh, and then we studied this map of indigenous peoples in California, and my word, there was a lot of these little tiny, the whole state was carved up into hundreds of tribes. In fact, relatively recently, the Grayton Band of coastal Miwoks, which numbered about somewhere between 50 to 60 people, managed to, through real estate manipulation, open the Grayton Resort, which is a huge employer around here. And it's a whole, in addition to the casino, it's a health spa and hotel, and they're making great money off this. And it's in the town of Rohnert Park, which is up, about 10 to 15 miles north of here, meaning Petaluma. And it's been a great moneymaker and boon to the economy of Rohnert Park here. And Rohnert Park is where Sonoma State College is. Okay, but anyhow, this tract of old growth redwoods, almost 600 acres, is being returned to that tribe. So I have no idea how many indigenous peoples are within that tribe, but they are going to preserve it, take care of it, and make sure, this is the most important thing, make sure no damn logging companies come in there. Okay, on that good note, I'm going to play my out music. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. Okay, YouTubers, that's it for another week. If anybody sees this on YouTube, I mean, you probably are not going to tune in on KPCALP 103.3 FM. But for those of you who only listen to it on www.kpca.fm worldwide, I will see all yous guys in another week. And it'll be February by then. So I don't know. I'll do it again either Wednesday or Thursday of next week for broadcast on the 6th of February. So until then, adios.